Justin Fields is best known for his late interception against Clemson in the college football playoff, but make no mistake, Justin Fields could legitimately win the Heisman and lead the Buckeyes to a national title in 2021. Today we will talk about the rise of Justin Fields, how he became a star at Ohio State, and why I think he'll be a future superstar in the NFL. But first, if you are new to my channel, I make videos about college football, and I really need your help to reach 6,000 subscribers by the end of August. If you clicked on this video, then I know you like football, so why not take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button and help me out. I know you won't regret it. Be sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss another upload, and drop a comment about who I should do next. Now let's get started with the rise of Justin Fields. Before Justin Fields was a household name in the football world, he was a young kid who grew up in the city of Kennesaw, Georgia. His father played linebacker at Eastern Kentucky, and he would eventually become a police officer in Atlanta. That helped him develop a certain mindset and a love for the game of football from a young age, but it wasn't exactly his only strength. At only 3 years old, Justin would go play baseball with the 6-year-olds, and he was really good at it. Eventually, he became amazing at baseball and probably could have played in college, but he chose to play football. Switching back to football, Justin was a good quarterback going into Harrison High School, but he wasn't going to start immediately. Eventually, he blew up after his sophomore year and became one of the most sought-after recruits in the entire country. He attended the prestigious Elite 11 quarterback camp, and he actually won the entire competition. Justin Fields was a big-time recruit and his stock was growing, but where was he going to go? Well, originally, it wasn't the home state team of Georgia, or anywhere down south for that means. It was the opposite. Because of his connection with offensive coordinator Joe Moorhead, Justin Fields originally committed to play for the Penn State Nittany Lions. This was a massive get for Penn State, as they had Trace McSorley for only one more year, and Fields would have been a successor, and it would have been an upgrade despite how good Trace was. There was one major problem though. Joe Moorhead's future was unclear. Joe was one of the top coordinators in the country, and he helped make the Lions one of the best and most exciting attacks in all of college football. When Dan Mullen left to take the job at Florida, Mississippi State reached out to him and hired Moorhead. That, combined with the fact that Fields had blossomed into arguably the number one player in the class of 2018, ultimately led him to decommit and re-examine his options. Now that he had blown up, Justin was pegged to go to either Florida, Georgia, or Auburn. Despite already having Jake Fromm and Jacob Eason on the roster, Fields decided to stay home and commit to Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. After his senior year, he was named Georgia's Mr. Football over another talented kid by the name of Trevor Lawrence. Fields and Lawrence were considered by far the best two quarterbacks in the 18 class until JT Daniels came in late by way of reclassification. Kirby Smart managed to land Justin Fields and Zamir White in the 18 class, and Mr. Lawrence took his talents to Clemson. According to 24/7 Sports, Justin was a 5-star recruit, the number 2 kid in the country, and the number 2 quarterback in the country behind Trevor. Fields is also listed as the 8th best recruit of all time. Pretty crazy. Going into the 2018 season, Georgia was now going into their 3rd season under head coach Kirby Smart. With Fromm being a sophomore, many expected Georgia to return to the college football playoff. DeAndre Swift and Elijah Holyfield were the running backs, and they had a talented group of wide receivers that included Mecole Hardman, Riley Ridley, and Terry Godwin. Despite the narrative that Fromm was the better QB and supposedly had won the job, many began to think it was unfair to Fields. His high school coach believed that Kirby never really gave him a chance to win the job, and it was just kind of given to Fromm. Nevertheless, Justin wasn't redshirted, and he was going to have a chance to play backup level snaps. The number 3 Bulldogs were set to play Austin Peay, and they had built a comfortable lead. They put in Fields and gave him a chance to see what he could do. He completed 7 of 8 passes for 63 yards in his first career touchdown pass. He completed 1 pass in their win over number 24 South Carolina, and completed 6 passes for 71 yards in a touchdown against Middle Tennessee. He did not appear in their win over Vanderbilt, and saw limited action in their game against Tennessee. To this point, Fromm was still the main starter, and that continued with their win over Vanderbilt. The Bulldogs were now ranked number 2 in the country for their showdown with LSU. In a game that just didn't go Georgia's way, they lost 36-16, and Justin didn't even see the field. The team rebounded with a huge win over number 9 Kentucky, and then Fields got the play in their win over number 24 Auburn. Against UMass, he got the play as he threw for 2 touchdowns in their blowout win. He would throw for negative 13 yards in their win over rival Georgia Tech, and the Dogs were headed back to the SEC Championship. They were actually beating 2 in the Crimson Tide, but as we know, Jalen Hurts came in and saved the day, and this ended Georgia's playoff hopes once again, and proved that Bama was still at a higher level. They'd end up playing Texas in the Sugar Bowl, where the Longhorns would win, and Sam Ehlinger famously declared that Texas was back. As a freshman, Justin threw for 328 yards and 4 touchdowns, with no interceptions. He had a solid year for a backup, but something was going on behind the scenes that would make him change his future. A kid on the Georgia baseball team was sitting in the stands for a game and allegedly called Fields a racial slur. At this point, Justin had decided it would be best for him to transfer and find a new school. With Dwayne Haskins leading for the 2019 NFL Draft, he felt Ryan Day and the Buckeyes were the right destination for him. The only problem was that he was going to have to sit out a year due to the NCAA's transfer policy. Justin got one of the best lawyers in the country and used the racial situation to his advantage. He said that it was a circumstance that should allow him to get a waiver and that he felt uncomfortable at Georgia. He won the case and enrolled at Ohio State for the spring semester. This subject gets a little bit touchy as I have no issue with him getting that waiver, it's good for the sport, but it did deserve some criticism. I made a video about this a few weeks ago, but a kid named Luke Ford was trying to transfer closer to home so his dying grandfather could see him play, and he was denied not once, but twice by the NCAA. Again, I have nothing wrong with kids like Fields, Tate Martell, and Shea Patterson getting these waivers, but why not allow someone with another valid excuse to get one? It makes some people believe that the NCAA only gives these kids waivers because they're high-profile kids going to big-time schools, which is just the wrong reason for it. Now that he got that all sorted out, he was ready to become a star at Ohio State. As I said earlier, Ryan Day was the new head coach after Urban Meyer retired, and Fields was going to jump in and start right away. Apparently backup quarterback Gunnar Hoke gave him a run for his money in camp, but we all know that isn't true. The Buckeyes were picked to finish second in the Big Ten East behind Michigan, and we also knew that wasn't true either. In their first game, they beat Florida Atlantic pretty badly, and he would throw for 234 yards and 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. I'd say it went pretty well for his first career start. Week 2, they were matched up against Luke Fickell in Cincinnati, and many thought it would be a close game. Well, they were wrong, as Fields threw for 2 touchdowns in their 42-0 shutout over the Bearcats. He threw for 7 combined touchdowns in their blowout wins over Indiana and Miami of Ohio, and the Buckeyes and Fields were cruising. In what was supposed to be a good game, College Game Day came to Lincoln, Nebraska for the matchup, and Justin's 3 touchdowns led the Buckeyes to a humiliating blowout for the Huskers. They finally played a decent team the following week as they destroyed number 25 Michigan State, but even they really weren't that good. He threw for 4 touchdowns in their win over Northwestern before they were finally set to play a real good team. Jonathan Taylor and the number 13 Wisconsin Badgers came to town and left Columbus getting blown out. To this point, Fields and the Buckeyes were on the path to the college football playoff. They just needed to survive against Penn State and Michigan. Against number 8 Penn State, Justin had his worst game of the season, but they managed to survive, and they now had mighty Michigan to finish the year. In what is now a yearly tradition, the Buckeyes killed the Wolverines behind the arms of Fields in his 4 touchdowns. If they just survived a rematch with Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship, they would surely be headed to the college football playoff. The Buckeyes beat the number 8 Badgers by 14 points, and Fields was going to get a chance to play in the playoff. They got the number 2 seed and were set to play Clemson. In what was arguably the best game of the 2019 season, Trevor and Justin went back and forth until Fields miscommunicated with wide receiver Chris Olave, and he threw a game-sealing interception. It was an unfortunate play, but I believe they will match up again in 2020. On the year, Fields threw for 3,273 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, 2 of which came against Clemson. He had a huge year as he finished 3rd in the Heisman Trophy voting, was a 2nd-team All-American, 1st-team All-Big Ten selection, and the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. Fields is expected to be one of the top picks in the 2021 NFL Draft, and I truly believe the 2020 Heisman will come down to Lawrence and Fields. I think Justin is a tremendous football player, and his game will translate to the next level. He just needs to keep his production up and stay healthy this season. If you're an Ohio State fan, what do you think of Fields, and where do you think he'll end up ranking in terms of all-time Buckeye quarterbacks? Be sure to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section, and who should I do next? If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I know Justin would want you to hit that like button. I need your help to reach 6,000 subscribers by the end of August, and if you are still here, check out my video about the rise of Trevor Lawrence and all my other 2020 college football videos. If the Lawrence video isn't up yet, it means it hasn't been uploaded, but it will be out very soon. Until next time though, peace.